It seems like you're looking to translate this emotional and intense story into English. Here's the English version of your text. I never thought my marriage would end like this. One normal morning, I intended to open Reddit and read a few posts for fun, but what I saw made my heart stop. A terrible secret was exposed. Not because I was snooping, but because he was too careless to remember that we shared everything, including social media accounts. This story isn't just about betrayal, it's about awakening, the final boundary of trust. And if you think he got away with it, you're terribly mistaken. He and I had a little arrangement to share a few apps to conveniently track, manage, and share our lives with each other. A seemingly harmless connection between two modern spouses, until it became the tool that exposed the true face of the man I once called the closest person in my life. That morning, I logged into Reddit as usual. The app automatically opened under the default account, and I should have seen my page. But no, a strange account appeared, familiar yet alien. The name, the posts, the comments, everything was his. I froze for a moment. Then, curious, I started scrolling. At first, I thought it was just a technical glitch, or maybe he was experimenting with something. But in just a few seconds, I realized something far worse than any nightmare. He had used that account to tell perverted stories. Twisted thoughts about me, and about my sister. I was paralyzed. The words on the screen felt like they were stabbing my heart. One after another, not only crude remarks, but a whole dark world that I never knew the man I lived with for years had been hiding inside. He wrote about us as if we were toys. As though this was a sick game to share with an online community. I don't know how long I sat there. The first feeling wasn't anger, it was disgust. A cold, dry disgust, like I had just touched something rotten that had been concealed under a sweet veneer for so long. I immediately changed the account password. Deleted all the posts I could find. Not to protect him, but to protect myself. My family from the terrifying spread of social media. But I knew, it might already be too late. Once something is posted online, someone has already seen it, saved it, and spread it like an oil spill. From that moment, I knew one thing. I couldn't stay silent. I couldn't let a man like that continue to wear his mask of moral superiority. The truth had to be exposed. No matter the price I would pay with my broken heart. I thought I was strong enough to face everything after discovering the truth. But no, when I went through the comments under those sick posts, comments from strangers, distant yet just as disgusting, I truly felt like my soul was being dragged to the deepest abyss of revulsion and despair. I thought what I'd just gone through was the last limit. But then, my sister's soft, haunting words kept echoing in my head. I think he tried to do something in the middle of the night. It wasn't a suspicion anymore. It was proof of a chilling reality. He had acted. The incident took place the night before, when my sister and I slept in the living room. There was nothing special about it except I didn't want him to see my luggage placed in the corner of the bedroom. I was quietly preparing to leave, packing up my life in silence, like an escapee from a marriage that had rotted to the core. I didn't want to say anything to him. I didn't need an apology. I just wanted to disappear. But he came home earlier than expected, and I had to change plans. Pretending everything was fine, pretending everything was still okay. We, my sister and I, slept in the living room. A strange night rest. Avoiding collisions and also hiding the fact that I was about to leave. I never imagined that this seemingly peaceful moment would be the time he struck. My sister said he lingered around the living room at midnight, silently like a ghost. Then suddenly, someone pulled the blanket off her, whispered strange words close to her ear, before quickly returning to the bedroom, pretending to sleep as if he had never left. At that moment, my sister thought maybe she was sleepwalking or imagining things. But now, every piece of the puzzle fit together, chillingly and perfectly, making my skin crawl. He truly lived in a different world. A world where morality was a luxury. Where he saw people as objects to experiment with his bestial instincts. I began to remember the previous signs I had ignored. The way he looked at my sister when he thought I wasn't paying attention. The half-joking, half-serious remarks. The late nights he spent browsing the internet, suspiciously. Now I understand, my sister and I had escaped a nightmare. But that was luck, and I wouldn't let that luck go to waste in silence. I made my decision. The next morning, while he was still asleep as if nothing had happened, my sister and I quietly packed all our belongings, No goodbyes. No farewells. We walked out that door like we were stepping out of an invisible prison, where my soul had been held captive for years. I no longer felt pain. There was only disgust left. And an unshakable determination. He would never hurt anyone again. They didn't just read those lines with curiosity. They joined in. They imagined. They suggested. The comments were full of innuendos, demands, and even encouragement for the deviant acts in the story he fabricated, as if my sister and I were just cheap characters in some disgusting pornographic film made in his head. I vividly remember one comment that seemed to burn into my brain. Both sisters in one night. That's a dream come true. A dream? No, it was a nightmare. The horrifying reality I was pushed into when I trusted the wrong person. I immediately called my sister. Her voice choked when I asked, "Did you feel anything strange that night?" After a long silence, like a century, she gently replied, "Yes, but I wasn't sure. He seemed to have tried something." I trembled, not from the cold, but from a truth that had just closed every door of forgiveness in my heart. He didn't just fantasize. He acted. He had crossed the line into a criminal act. I spiraled into thoughts. What if my sister hadn't woken up in time? What if I hadn't discovered that account? What if I had continued to live in that lie, thinking he was a man with some issues, but harmless? I knew I had to act. I couldn't let him continue living as though nothing had happened. I couldn't let him continue to approach me, my sister, or anyone else while his mind was a den of venomous snakes waiting for the right moment to strike. I deleted everything he had posted on Reddit, not to cover for him, but to stop the spread of a toxic thing that he created. Partly because I didn't want those out there, those perverted ones, to keep using it as a tool to satisfy their dark instincts. Another part was to protect my sister, who had no idea she had just escaped a terrifying trap. I knew that deleting posts or changing passwords was just the first step. He had left traces, and the internet never forgets. But I would, and I would never forgive. Leaving that house, I never looked back. Everything was now just a dark past that I would never open again. But the truth was crueler than that. I still had to face a series of things to do. Because he didn't just harm me mentally, but had also slowly begun controlling our finances and even my personal freedom. The first thing I did after leaving was go to the bank. While he was still asleep, dreaming of sick scenarios in his head, I went to the service desk and requested to freeze our joint account immediately. We had set up a savings account for our family's future. But now I realized it was just a financial trap, an invisible chain that made it easy for him to manipulate everything if I ever left. I stared at the bank officer as she confirmed the freeze was completed. The feeling at that moment wasn't relief. It was a cold, resolute decision, like I had just cut the last cord connecting me to him. Next, I sat in the car, hands trembling, opened my phone, and checked all the pre-installed apps. And just as I had suspected, he had installed tracking software on my phone. An app silently recorded my location, call history, and even message content. I had seen that app before but thought it was a system utility. How ridiculous that I had trusted him that much. I immediately uninstalled the app. But I didn't stop there. I noted down the name of the software, took screenshots, and sent everything to my lawyer. I knew that leaving or freezing the account wouldn't end it. I needed a complete escape. A complete severance, both legally and from my life. He couldn't continue living as if nothing had happened. He couldn't keep using technology to track and harass women. He couldn't think that he could secretly touch others in the dark and then walk away, as if nothing wrong had ever occurred. I told my lawyer that I wanted a divorce immediately. No negotiations, no compromises. I would file a lawsuit if needed, providing evidence of his stalking, the Reddit posts I had saved before deleting them, and my sister's testimony. He would have to face the truth. And this time, there would be no escape for him. When I walked out of the lawyer's office, I took a deep breath. Maybe he had once thought himself clever, silent, and leaving no trace. But I, the woman who once loved him, was now more.